Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the season 2 premiere of the Left Culture Podcast. My name, as always, is Chris. Feels good to be back. Tonight, I'm joined by Joe. How you doing, Joe?
How's it going, Chris?
Pretty good. And we have a returning guest tonight. We've got Resonator, aka Jared. Welcome back, Rez. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well, man.
Happy to hear.
Good to be back.
We are back with the second season, as we're calling it, of the Left Culture Podcast. Been a while, Twitch and audience. How are you all doing tonight? You guys are doing well. Tonight on the show, we'll be discussing Game of Thrones, obviously, because it starts in 51 minutes. Or 59 minutes. We'll be talking about Overwatch and Face It, and why nobody's talking about how Face It starting a Overwatch League is kind of a big deal. Talking about PUBG, probably, and a couple other things that come across our mind, including the redesign of Left Click by none other than Joe himself. And I think we'll kind of start with this Overwatch thing. I haven't played it in a while, but I know, Rez, you've been playing it a bit.
Yeah, well, trying.
Yeah.
Trying to not suck completely. I finally started doing comp, and it's a thing.
It is very much a thing. It's such a thing that companies like Faceit have stepped in order to provide a higher quality competitive experience, as I like to describe it. And this was a huge deal for games like CSGO because they provided higher quality matchmaking servers with better features, a more robust feature set, I should say. And now that it's made its way to Overwatch, hasn't quite had as big of a splash as I thought it would. I thought people would be more excited about this, and I haven't really seen anybody talk about it anywhere. Any ideas as to why this could be, guys?
Well, I think for one thing, like I didn't know what Face It was at first, so it could just be a matter of people just not really knowing what it is. I mean, there's always that problem.
Fair. Even in the competitive circle, though, it seems to be like a pretty quiet thing.
True. Yeah, that's one thing I can't really speak because I haven't really followed the competitive that much. Because and Chris can attest to this, I got into Overwatch pretty late, like a little earlier this year. So I haven't really followed the competitive scene at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's for sure one of the things we talked about, like when we initially started talking about Overwatch, right, was like this idea that, right, we're talking about Overwatch in this context, the being more competitive on Face It, right?
Mm.
And so the idea is that, you know, Overwatch is such a great melded game, and there's so many players because it takes all those different, you know, iterations of games we like, where they bring in different tunes that have different like specialties or different characters that are useful in different scenarios, and it adapts to kind of the MMO but shooter base that is very competitive, and it tries to meld that way. And I think inherently a lot of those platforms like Faceit or ESEA or Civo have that dominant structure because those games were almost built to be completely competitive. Or Overwatch, it's like the audience more so isn't always focused on being like, despite the fact that there is like a ranking system, I don't see the audience of Overwatch being the people that were like coming from the scrim days where it's like, oh, we organized a scrimmage with the 10 people we got on Xfire and they're jumping in. The people that are like, we just, met them in an Overwatch lobby and we added them on BattleNet. And it's like, so with a lot of these things, it's a lot less people searching outside of the initial platform to do and suffice a lot of these solutions, and maybe more so that they're finding tournaments and local events to be an alternative source than online digital, because so many people are playing it that it's easier to find, it's like Counter-Strike back in the day when it's like everyone's landing Counter-Strike or everyone's landing this. It's like, okay, well, why would I need to go, to this or pay for this price? And there's so many things that scale with these variables, but I think a lot of it is the audience that plays that game.
That's fair. So you think this goes back to a discussion that we had before where it's just like that weird casual competitive mix that Blizzard's trying to go for these days is just kind of hurting them at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like hurting them. I think Overwatch is, done exactly what it's intended to do. And I think but people have to accept that at the same time, right? The people that are like really competitive can't go to Overwatch and be like, this is going to be just like COD 4, like it's not. That's just not what the game's built to be. So to tell people how something is instead of taking it on the way they're taking it is wrong. And it's like, so we have to go, okay, what does this audience really want from us? Do they just want another character that has a really cool specialty, or do they want more levels of, competitiveness, right? And like, I think some of the ranking, even in Overwatch initial competitive, is kind of a turnoff to even me, where it's like I did well in some of my placement matches or this or that, and felt like the ranking was way off. So that's been something that's been going on since the beginning that could have deterred plenty of people from going even into competitive in the first place and just going, well, this is just a fun play with Counter-Strike or something.
But ultimately, you have to remember, it's a video game. It's meant for people to enjoy. It's like this game wasn't designed to be a competitive thing. Like
I don't know about that though. I think it was in the back of their head.
I think it was, but ultimately, it's a video game.
Yeah.
I think in the end, and like not everyone is gonna play competitive. It's a small percentage of a community.
That is another thing that it's important to remember. This is a small subset of an even smaller subset of a group who would use something like Face It for competitive because they're not happy with the competitive client within Overwatch.
Right. I think another thing that what Blizzard, if anything, like has Blizzard shown like any like, oh yeah, Face It's doing this thing?
It would actively hurt Blizzard to promote another like service other than their own. Because they're not seeing $1 from that premium Face It sub. They're not seeing anything like that.
Yeah, they're not seeing any royalties from
Granted, they would still be playing Overwatch, so that initial sale would have to be there in order for them to play it.
Yeah, because I was like thinking like a lot of times, like for example, I play competitive. I play fairly competitive in Rocket League, as Chris knows. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of times, when you open up Rocket League, you see, and you see it in the Blizzard launcher as well. You see like in the kind of news section, I guess is what you call it. You'll always see like, watch the finals now and all this stuff. And so I'm like, I wonder if like something for Face It will show up there and people are like, oh, that's a thing happening.
It might, but yeah, Blizzard's doing that weird thing like we've talked about before where they're doing the thing where they're trying to host their own league. So they're trying to like learn all this stuff all at once. Even though they've been doing it with WoW arenas and like competitive rating for a little bit now, or Heroes of the Storm, which never really gathered much of an audience. They want to be supportive of esports, and they want to be the ones to have all the control over it. And I don't know if a partnership with somebody like Face It would be okay with them in order to like give up some of the control to like trust somebody else to do it. Blizzard's not really good at letting go of things.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that we were talking about comparatively to the Counter-Strike kind of the way they handled it, right? Was, okay, they're going to take this on, they're going to make it fair for all their players, but in doing so, that they're inherently going to want to control a lot of that too and make sure that the brands are being managed a certain way and all the players are managed a certain way. And so I think that comes to, our platform, our game, we are all, we tell you how it is, but at the same time, it's very well done. All the players are protected, and like so that it's interesting to see how that unfolds, and maybe comparing them more so on their merit for the gamers would be interesting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's an issue that Counter-Strike is still struggling with is the player safeties and what is it? The what's that weird player organization that they kind of founded?
Oh yeah, the one that like threw them out of everything, anyways.
Yeah, they didn't accomplish their goal, so it's just weird.
Yeah, we signed a bunch of contracts that ended up being bad contracts, but they're contracts, so
yeah.
But,
yeah, so that's the thing. It doesn't help either that they announced it on a Reddit thread and haven't done like any big social media push, I don't think.
Yeah, there needs to be a Twitter post. There needs to be a Facebook post. Like, this is coming from someone, I mean, who's done marketing for things like this. Like, you need to like, you can't just like rely on one thing. That needs to be pasted everywhere you can.
Right.
If you want people to see it.
Yeah.
But I will say Reddit does reach a large audience, but it's like, he needs to post in they need to be posting in like all the different kind of subreddits.
Yeah, or at least make some sort of formal announcement other than, yes, we're doing this as like a kind of a thing. I think that's a big enough thing where it should garner a formal announcement with like hype around it, but that's just me.
I mean, I know at least back in the day, they like even ESL, if you remember that, was like one of those early leagues. They had graphic designers and people they had graphic designers and people to manage all that stuff and do the marketing collateral. And I imagine so in this day you'd have someone to manage like the social component of it, where you'd be pushing out ad campaigns and other such things that align with that. So that is weird to me that they don't have as much exposure as kind of they should for a brand that they are.
Yeah, even if they didn't like take it into their own hands to make this a larger or like a bigger deal, you think somebody would have picked up this and ran with it, whether it be like Daily.esports or ESPN esports or somebody, a pro player, a streamer, someone like that. But just no, nothing. Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on this one as it develops a little bit more and see if they end up doing a formal announcement a little bit later on.
See if any of like also and if any of the well-known professional teams like say, hey, we might do this, and they'll make their announcement.
Yeah, it turns out Blizzard, you guys aren't the best at this esports thing, and these guys have a couple years of experience behind them. So we're gonna go play on their platform for scrims, and we'll see you guys at the tournament.
Bye-bye. That'd be interesting. I need to start watching like the professional Overwatch, like just to improve myself as a player, and to just like the only competitive esports I've ever watched is Rocket League, which is insane.
Yeah,
but I need to expand my interest a bit. Yeah. I mean, switching over games a little bit here, but you watch those guys, and if you know Rocket League, it's like I'm just starting to get good at aerials, and I've been playing for a decent few years now. The guys are good at that. They don't touch the ground. It's kind of insane.
Yeah,
they do not touch the ground except to refill their boost.
Yeah, it's that's Rocket League's one of those games where I play for fun, but that desire to become like really good at it, like it was there for CS:GO at one point, or like it was there for Overwatch at one point, just was never there. It was always just like a super casual kind of thing for me.
Yeah, I think what did it for me was the fact like I knew I would never be a good like shooter game. Like I'm horrible at CS:GO. Chris would wipe the floor with my ass in that game.
Fair.
But
and
I mean,
Joe
actually,
would wipe
no.
the floor with me.
Actually, probably my brother who has never played a game would wipe my ass in the floor in that game because I suck at shooters generally. I mean, Overwatch slightly I feel like I've gotten better at because it's not just about shooting. There's other game mechanics, but a game that's like just solely based around shooting, I'm not great at. But Rocket League 1, I'm a car guy. I've always liked racing games. I've always done well with racing games, and it's like it was such a different platform and like a totally new concept that was like, hey, everyone else is new to this except the people who played the original, but we're not counting them. It's like it's a totally new concept. Everyone else is starting on the same level. This is a chance for me to get good at this game, and it's like it's a game that came more or less easier to me.
Yeah, that's fair. In driving games, everybody's played like some kind of driving game in the past.
Yeah,
so you get the basics.
But does that car fly?
No, not unless it was a really good driving game.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's always those aerial nerds that are coming in and wrecking you once you get enough wins in competitive or whatever. But
yeah,
I think the first thing you said is like super important that I always notice is like watching more of anything that you're trying to do or taking more of it in is like always super helpful.
Yeah, that's like one of the things like that for Overwatch, because I finally started playing competitive. I'm like, fuck, I suck. I need to get better.
Yeah. I mean, you pick up so much just from watching people, and you notice yourself like mirroring little habits that they have or things like that. And it's just like, that's really truthfully, we think it's so weird because we have this kind of digital exposure to it now where it's like, we're not all in like some artisan guild going, this is how you spin a pot, right? But it's like the new spinning pot is shooting a gun with a photon cannon. And you do that by tapping a mouse and hitting shift. But it's like, we have to kind of remember how we learn in those contexts and mirror it in the new ones. And I think that's ways is observing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I remember that being super helpful when I was first getting into CSGO. It's just like, okay, let's see how these guys approach this bomb site. Let's see where they throw their smokes. Let's see where the defense are. Let's like look at all this eco stuff we have to learn. Not as much of that in Overwatch, but it's still really helpful to just be like, oh, what comp are they going with for this push on this map against the other team's comp, like that kind of stuff. And just like, oh, how do they use someone like Winston? I would never thought to do like X with Winston, whereas they're doing X, Y, and Z with Winston. It's just like, okay, I have a lot to learn still.
Yep, exactly. Speaking of Overwatch, though, Doomfist, yay or nay?
Yay. I think Doomfist is a lot of fun.
I have not played him yet, but he looks like a lot of fun.
You gotta. One of these days, you gotta just hop on the PTR, check it out.
Yeah, I just installed that. I need to hop on that and just give him a good run through.
die a lot till you get used to comboing your abilities to build up enough of a shield to heal you till your teammate run up behind you and start saving you a little bit.
Yeah. How fast do you see him being like you picked in competitive?
Competitive?
Yeah.
He's gonna be insta-locked like as soon as he's introduced, just
Well,
because
yeah,
he's
of
new
course.
and people do that with new things. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. He is needed in the sense that you need like another assault that can push with the tanks and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I'm excited. He's so different than everybody else too, and he just feels really satisfying to play.
He's it's like he's like one of the few like solely melee, I guess.
Minus his little knuckle shotguns.
Yeah, they don't do shit though.
Oh, they do a lot of damage.
Do they really?
Yeah, if you're really close to somebody, they hurt.
I thought I heard that they don't do anything.
Yeah, if you like go into the AI range with the bots, I think they kill them in like 2 or 3 shots.
Oh boy. Yeah, that will do damage then.
They're worth using. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. I feel like Blizzard is good at that though. Good at like they don't put anything in there that's absolutely useless.
Except for, Torbjorn.
Well,
yeah. Whoa.
Kidding.
Excuse me.
User error, man. User error.
Interesting fact I learned though. Torbjorn was actually the first character designed for that game.
Mm-hmm.
He came first, and then the second was Junkrat, his counter.
Yeah. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like if they changed Torbjorn around a little bit, he could definitely become more competitive.
Fine. It's just he's no longer the monster he was in the game first launched because people learned how to play against.
Yeah,
which is nice. He can still be incredibly frustrating on certain maps and with the right amount of support.
Goddamn turret hit me every time.
Yeah.
It's funny, dude. Like a year later. Well, it's like the same thing with CS that you talk about, right? It's like you look at smokes, you look at this or that. It's like all these games have that level where it's almost like, and noticing this going back into CS and ranking up again, it's the same thing. It's like people are still overlooking the same stuff. It's like, oh, they get to a certain point and they're losing or they're frustrated or whatever. And it's like, why are you frustrated? Oh, because you're overlooking that you should probably consider this, tactic or this solution. And because you're not taking the extra time to go figure it out or learn it or think harder. You just face keyboard.
You don't know how to deal with like a smoked off apartment speed push on, like Mirage. Oh, you should probably learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just rolling into sites. Oh, you should probably learn how to stop them from doing that.
Yeah. It doesn't work the way I want it to, though. Oh, well, that's life.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're playing with people who aren't playing at the highest level, so that no matter what you do, they're going to be like unpredictable at the best of times.
Yes.
Yeah. All you can do is equip yourself with as many different toolkits as you can to be as best prepared for the situation, and talk to your teammates for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I think that goes for any competitive game. For fuck's sake, turn on your mic and talk to people.
I think we can all agree, no matter the game, God, communication will ruin a game faster than bad play will.
It makes or break a team so easily. I think if I'm talking in a competitive Overwatch, if I am talking to the team through mic, even if it's just not all of them, but some of them, like it's like my win percentage goes way up.
Yeah.
Or it's like if I lose, it's a very close game. If I don't talking, I'm losing by a lot, unless it's by some miracle the other team just sucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of games where communication is essential and team play is also very important to some extent, PlayerUnknown's is a game that's kind of taken over some of our lives here over the past couple weeks.
Everyone except me.
Yeah. And we'll get you on the train one of these days, Rez.
No, I'll get there.
Yeah.
As some may know, I'm playing on almost a potato. It's a slightly upgraded potato, but still a potato.
Yeah.
It's like my computer, it's a laptop. It doesn't handle non-optimized games very well at all. I can barely run GTA. That's like my limit. And I realized this when I tried to play Doom once. I tried to install Doom once, and it nearly broke my computer. It literally almost destroyed my computer. I felt the fans like going into overdrive.
Yeah, PUBG would definitely do that because it's still very much an early access game.
Exactly. So it's like I just know games. I'm just like I've learned to like fuck. I really want to play. I want to play that game because It's more like that game. Like the reason I want the biggest reason I would want to play is just because I see everyone else playing it.
Yeah.
And like I would not play that game by myself. I would not touch that game by myself probably.
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of solo play, but that's the interesting part to me. Is it seems like everybody's playing this game. Literally today when I woke up, their max peak concurrent had just passed GTA 5 on Steam, and they're now like they're in 4th place or 5th place for the most concurrent players of all time on Steam.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't follow any gamers or anything on Twitter. Really, for the most part.
Yeah.
And when I see PUBG coming through, I know that people like there's coders that are like, PUBG, and there's people like even like most of the news places I follow are actually talking about it too. I'm like,
they're just like, what is PUBG? It's just like, let me tell you a little story about what PUBG is.
I don't like that. It seems like that game came completely out of nowhere too.
Yeah, it helps that it had player unknown behind it, because people know that he's just like, oh yeah, that guy. He's responsible for like the good parts of DayZ. And now that he has his own studio without having to worry about like Rocket coming in and fucking stuff up, we'll give this one a go. And it came out, and it didn't have like the arcadey feel that King of the Kill has. It was very like, I don't want to say very milsim, but it's a very serious game in its design and in like the way the weapons handle and everything like that. And it was done well for the most part. It's so early, so it definitely has its bugs, flying cars and whatnot. But
flying cars, bad optimization.
It was done well for the state it was in, and people just latched onto it and fucking took it and ran.
You know what? It's funny because the same thing happened to Rocket League. No one knew what the fuck that was, and that caught on so quick.
No one knew what rocket-powered battle cars was, or whatever the name it was before in the earlier.
Super action. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but no, it's the same thing. Like PUBG, and like I saw that pop up one day, and I'm like, okay, another survival game, another DayZ clone, and then everyone's playing. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not like too into those survival kind of games. I bought DayZ after it being out for like a couple months because Nick was just like, hey, you should check it out. And I was like, okay, fine. And I did, and we played like a couple matches in it and never went back to it. I skipped the culling, though I almost bought the culling. So she's like, okay, this one seems pretty good. People are playing this one. Maybe I'll give this one a go. And I just never ended up doing it.
And it's dead.
Yeah, and then King of the Kill I never really had any interest in. And then PUBG came out, and I was just like, all right, people are playing this one. It looks fun. I'm enjoying watching people playing it. I'm going to give this one a go. And I gave it a go, and I haven't looked back in like 110 hours since I picked it up. It got me like hook, line, and sinker, and I wasn't expecting that at all. Not the kind of game where I would normally enjoy, but
I feel like it'll be the same thing for me when I inevitably pick it up.
Yeah, it's a very like zen experience. Go in.
It looks enjoyable. I watch a lot of people play it, and it does look enjoyable. But like I said,
interesting.
I mean, we'll see. Like, I'm curious to see how long this one lasts, because everyone thought that like the culling was gonna last forever, or like a lot of those games would last forever. But this one seems a little different than the others.
I think one of the things that helps is it goes back to this another thing that we've talked about before. Another thing that Blizzard does well, funnily enough, is they talk to their community all the time. When they release an update or discuss things they're working on, they're actively talking about what they're doing with the game.
What?
Yeah.
Listening to your users?
Yeah, exactly. Having a conversation with the people who play your game and give you money. Yeah, you should probably do that. Yeah, they've been active with their monthly updates. They've been, listening to feedback for the most part. And the updates aren't always what people think they should be doing. But, half these people don't know game design to begin with. Yeah. So take that with a grain
I would
of
say
salt.
more than half.
Yeah, that's fair.
Most people do not understand what goes into game development at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily either, but I have an appreciation for it at least.
Yeah, the point is that they're actively working on their game, trying to make it a better product.
Exactly. They're not just like putting out an unfinished product, be like, yep, here you go. We're not doing anything.
We made our millions of dollars, and you guys have fun with this broken jank ass pile of
garbage. They must have made so much money on this game so far.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about PUBG, and they were just like, it's interesting for people who pick this game up like once it's released, because right now everybody that's gotten the game up off the ground, that's funded it, is playing and devoting the most of their time to playing, what did they call it, the worst version of the game that's going to exist in that moment in time.
Yeah.
The game can almost only get better from here unless they end up changing their vision completely.
Yeah.
Something like a Firefall that just recently shut down. Yeah. unless they pull something like that and change it completely, then I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, totally. I've been diving into Jinky all the time now. Just like that's all I do is, I mean, literally, like I do play a lot, or I mean, work a lot still, but I've been playing a lot as well. It's just like all I do now is sit at this computer, and it's either making something or playing PUBG.
Playing and streaming PUBG. Yeah. So as part of this discussion, I'm kind of curious as to like what drew you to the game, Joe, other than us telling you to buy the game. You know, like what kept you playing?
Other than everyone
I
going,
guess.
buy the game.
Yeah. Other than that, like what keeps you returning to it?
Yeah, and I feel like people ask me this too because it's not one of those games I would normally play, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I was concerned you were gonna hate it after you bought
oh
it.
my God. Daisy, the first time I played Daisy, I died, and then it took me like 2 hours to get back to the camp where everyone. And I was like, this is just shit. Like I'm running, I'm getting shot at, and I have nothing, and I can't find anything. And you guys have cars and planes, and you won't even come pick me up. And I was just like, oh my God. And so PUBG, yeah, I guess it's like it's kind of easier to get into it, I guess, because of the speed of how you're playing. You land, and there's like a larger probability of you getting equipment or a car or something. So it takes away that whole like super realistic survivalist version of Daisy and kind of compresses it into an effective like methodology where it's like, okay, here's a system. You land, you shoot, and then you go fight people, and then you try to survive till the end. And it's just like, it's not like where it's like, oh, I found a Gatorade bottle 2 hours ago, and then now I found, you know what I mean? It's just like, I can't do that. I just can't.
Yeah,
and
I completely understand that. That turned me off to Daisy as well.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about PUBG also is like just from watching it, because just because I don't own it doesn't mean I don't know anything about it. I have watched it. I promise.
Yeah, it
the
turns out it's a lot of
concept
fun to watch too.
That too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm gonna say, like Daisy is such a slow game. It's a slow burn, because like you can go for so long without seeing anyone and nothing happens. PUBG at least keeps you on your feet with the whole like shrinking zone idea. Will keep, like, it moves pretty quick. Like
Yeah.
you may go most of the game not seeing anyone, but you still need to make sure you're staying within that zone. And the way it forces you to eventually see people.
Yeah.
Like it means it prevents people from camping out somewhere or something like that. The concept of it is super well balanced, I think.
Yeah, it is nice in that regard. The games have a finite like time limit on it, so you know that a game of PUBG isn't gonna take, an hour and a half like a game of League might. You know you're getting to get in, and if you do well, it's gonna be, a few minutes. And then if you don't do well, then you can just hop right out and get right back in another game instantly.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
How's the matchmaking on it? That I don't know.
It's not really a
work?
thing. It's just like everybody gets thrown into a thing. I don't think they have any sort of like rank-based matchmaking.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
by that I meant by like how, like, does it like the time, like does it take a long time to get into a match or things like that?
It's instant, like near instant.
Really?
As soon as everybody readies up, it takes a moment to like connect, and you get dropped into that lobby.
Wow.
And then you're good to go. Yeah.
'Cause I've seen so many early access games that it just takes forever. Like either just to load or get into a game. It takes, just fucking forever.
Yeah. Hopefully, the game doesn't crash on you in between the time that you connect to like the pre-lobby little area. But yeah,
Is that a big issue?
Not really. It's happened to me like 2 or 3 times in the 100 hours or 100+ hours I've been playing. So it happens. It's early access. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I feel like that's just server stress from loading. How many people is it? Like 100 people into a game?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of people to connect into a single game.
Yeah.
That's like PlanetSide 2 shit.
PlanetSide 2.
I don't know why I thought of that game.
That's
the first thing that came to mind. I used to play a lot of that game. That was a fun game.
I checked it out. I never got super into it.
That's what we should get. That's what we should get our group to do, Butler. We'll just get just all go into PlanetSide 2.
Zach was talking about Dreadnought earlier, and I thought that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, I just installed it. That game, I'm like, I love big giant spaceships.
Yeah.
I'm totally down as long as it doesn't destroy my computer.
It might. There's lots of explosions in that game.
Oh, we'll just turn all the settings down.
Yeah, Dreadnought is an 8v8 spaceship fighting game for those of you who don't know. And each of the ships is essentially a different class and has like different abilities, whether they be support ships that are smaller and faster and can heal people, or like the big tank ships that are there to protect all the little ones. And
these are like mothership like size ship. Like they're big ships,
Yeah.
right?
some of the bigger tankier ones are massive, and then you've got like your little like dogfighting ships who are responsible
Yeah.
for doing some of the damage. Yeah.
So
I,
it's
uh,
basically sea warfare in the sky.
Yeah. Space combat, which is fun.
Space.
Or potentially fun.
We'll find out later.
Yeah, I guess so. I've had the installer like in my download folders for a couple months, I think. And I just never got around to installing it because I'm just like, well, I'll do this when I find people to play with or something
I
like
didn't
that.
even know that game existed until a few hours ago.
I found out about it because of the co-optional podcast people. And that's how I like started following the development of it.
Yeah, I need to actually watch what the gameplay looks like because I haven't even seen that. I just said spaceships. I'm in.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks like it can be kind of slow, possibly. But it's dogfighting the entire time. You're put in against another team and your objective is to kill the other team, as far as I can tell.
I love
The game
it.
modes that I've seen, so yeah.
I love it.
One that's going to be worth looking into. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about PUBG other than the fact that I can't stop playing it. And I'm going through withdrawals because I haven't played it because I've been busy working on stuff. And I don't really see myself getting sick of it anytime soon. Kind of want to try out the zombies custom game type they've introduced.
Oh, I
don't-
watched Achievement Hunter play that.
Yeah. Have
And
you looked?
it looks like a lot. That does look fun.
Have you
I
looked
like
at
that.
the zombies mode at all, Joe?
No, I haven't.
What it does is you have a group. I'm not sure if there's a limit on the group size. I imagine there must be, of human players. Well, human as in non-infected players. And they
Yeah.
play the game normally, and then everybody else in the server is a zombie that runs a little bit faster, has stronger melee damage, and their objective is to just kill the people with the guns, essentially. So the
Oh my
zombies
God.
literally
It's
have to
basically
attack
horde
people as
mode.
a horde. Yeah, and try to take down the people, before they get too geared up or anything like that.
How do you play this?
It's only available as a on custom servers right now, but they plan on
Okay.
rolling it out once they get like their more robust matchmaking system in play, where it'll be a game mode you can queue up for.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
like
Left
it.
4 Dead had
Cool.
something like that, I remember, but this sounds like way more large scale and exciting.
This is Left 4 Dead, just much bigger.
Yeah.
Especially because it can
Open
be
world
like,
Left 4 Dead.
yeah, 4 people with 96 zombies chasing after them. It's just like, okay, go have fun with that. Hopefully you don't get punched to death and the zombies don't figure out where you're dropping at, because everybody still drops just like in a normal game too. So either you have to wait it out or see where the zombies are going to drop, and the wall's still very much a thing. And the people win by killing all the zombies, and the zombies win by killing all the people.
What I would see being very cool, another rendition of that kind of game mode would be everyone loads into the game like normal, and the game randomly chooses who's a human, the small human team. Everyone else gets to be a zombie,
That'd be cool. You
That'd
have
be-
like randomized spawns.
and like there's no. I mean, there could be friendly fire, I guess, or maybe not, but just be like
mean,
everyone
it-
chases after these same 4
Yeah.
people.
Friendly fire already exists in the game, so it wouldn't
That's
be
true.
like too big of a stretch in order for them to just like turn that
Yeah.
on or leave
But
it on.
but the idea is like kind of like, I guess the zombies kind of have to team together. Everyone just destroy, but they'd have to do it because if they're player controlled, they'd have to like nerf them somehow.
Yeah, the zombies are nerfed in the sense that they can't pick up guns. You're literally just
Yeah.
there to like punch people to death.
Yeah.
And your punches do more damage, but yeah, you run around and you punch, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, there would be some balancing things with human control, I think, but I think that would be a really cool idea.
No, don't want to create too much balance because you're trying to create that whole like zombies are just zombies and the humans have
Yeah.
guns. So how
Yeah.
does a sentient
That's
zombie
true.
deal with that?
These zombies are just human controlled.
Yeah, exactly. The zombies get a buff in the fact that they are controlled by a person and are not AI.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue that some people are less smarter than
Yeah.
artificial
Some
Are
people,
closer to their
yes,
zombie
you're not wrong.
counterparts.
You're not entirely wrong.
There may
Absolutely.
be both an advantage and disadvantage to having zombies controlled by players. Is that you might have some dumbass zombies and some really smart zombies.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's definitely free. Or definitely true. Yeah, PUBG. Looking forward to playing some more of that.
I'll get to it someday.
One day when you have something that you can play it on.
Yeah.
Or once it gets
or
off.
if they fully optimize it.
Yeah,
Then
they're
we'll know.
hoping for a full release later this year, if I remember
Alright.
correctly. Which
That
is
may or may
exciting.
not be before I build my computer, because my plan is to build it either the end of this year or beginning of next year, or
Nice.
before I graduate college in the spring.
Very nice. So definitely going to be seeing some PUBG content coming out of Left Click at some point once we get some recording time set aside. And yeah, looking forward to playing some more of that as a team, as a group, getting some more chicken dinners. Been too long since I've had one.
I just had chicken.
Yeah, because I just had chicken last night as well. But some PUBG chicken dinners, the taste just isn't quite the same. Doesn't satisfy you. Real chicken doesn't satisfy the same way a PUBG chicken dinner does. Yeah, so speaking of games that are coming out soon-ish, and that I've played in early access state, I know one that you're excited about as well, Jared, is Pyre, coming out on the 25th of this month, and is another team. Well, I don't think it's a team in the sense that you control a team, but it's not a team as in multiple people are playing together.
Yeah. Single-player game.
Sports game, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I get from what I've seen of it, you could probably attest to it more because you've actually gotten to play it at PAX. It's a 3v3, like kind of, I guess, sports kind of based combat. But I mean, that's not the game at all. The game's like a dramatic story.
Oh yeah, the game's got a super like narrative heavy thing that links all these events, like, for lack of a better term, together. And for those of you who don't know what Pyre is, essentially you have a team of 3, I don't know what you would call them, ritualists? 3 individuals.
I think they're exiles.
Exiles?
I think
we'll
that's
go
what
with
they're
that.
called.
3 exiles who are responsible for capturing this little ball, this sphere of energy, and burning it in a pyre, which is a giant flame. For those of you who don't know what a pyre is.
You explain me what a pyre is, please?
Yeah. And essentially each team has a pyre that they're protecting, and each of the individual exiles has a different like movement style, has a different attack, for lack of a better term, and a different defensive style or defensive size. Like the really big guy can cover a lot of ground, but he moves really slowly. Then there's like a medium person, there's a small one who's really fast and whose defensive area is also really small. You have to take this little ball and you can pass it between your teammates and run it into the fire, and then whichever character you use to sacrifice on the pyre, you don't have that person next round, so you're down a guy. So you have to kind of think a little bit ahead in that regard as you're scoring points.
So I pulled up the Steam page here just to look at it real quick, and I can't see what they're called, but it's like each match, I guess, is called a right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so each thing is called, so it's, but each like choose three from you have a whole party, you choose 3 of them. For each right, outfit them with talismans and masteries. So I'm guessing each character is customizable.
Sounds like passives.
Yeah, it's probably passives, I'm guessing. But there actually might be some actives as well, I'm thinking. But I'm just so excited for another Supergiant game. It's been too long.
Yeah, they make really good stuff.
I will talk a little bit. I love Supergiant's games, especially Bastion. Bastion will always go down as one of my favorite games of all time.
That's fair.
Just the atmosphere, the aesthetic of it is gorgeous. And people know I'm a music guy. That's what I study. That's what I do. The music in that game and all their games are fucking phenomenal. I forgot the name of their composer. Because they've used the same composer every time. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Art style's pretty sweet.
Oh, they always nail it with it.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of Supergiant's games. That's what got me interested in Pyre, is just the fact that they're behind it.
Darren Korb, that's their composer. So Darren, like for Bastion, just that acoustic kind of Western style folk guitar soundtrack is actually very similar to the kind of stuff I write on when I play guitar and my style of playing. So that's partially what drew it to me. And like just the way they tell a story is so beautifully done, I think. And they're gorgeous. They're such well polished, and just like you could tell, it's like a passion project.
Yeah, nothing about their game isn't beautiful. It's all just gorgeous, from the art style to the music, like you were saying.
And the gameplay is satisfying. Like,
like
I love a game where when you hit something in the game and just the way the sound effect of it, the visual of it is just satisfying. I love that, and all their games have always done that. So I'm hoping it's the same way in Pyre.
Yeah, from what I remember, it was very super giant, super giant. In the sense that like when you hit somebody with a spell or when you like dash into them, there's a really satisfying thud, and
Yeah,
there's a crackling of the fire.
there's weight to it.
Yeah.
I love games that like where the gameplay feels like it has weight to it. A little bit of weight, like just like obviously you don't want it to feel sluggish, but a little bit of weight just makes it feel like, especially in a game like that, just feels good.
Yeah. Whereas, not to dig on Overwatch too much, when you swing Reinhardt's hammer and you hit somebody, that same like contact isn't really there. Like it just kind of passes through people.
Yeah. But this, like the other games, like the physics of it, it's so nice. It's so well done. And it's been like the last game they had was what, Transistor?
Yeah, I believe so.
And Transistor came out in 2014. So it's been 3 years, which is a decent amount of time. They don't have a ton of games. They've had Bastion and Transistor pretty much.
Their games do pretty well for them being an indie studio, though.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they can afford to take their time to make the thing that they want to make. Not really have to worry about.
Take your time. Take 3 years to make a game.
Yeah.
Because I trust that they will, when they come out, it's not going to be like a broken game or anything. It's going to be a well polished, just work of art.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for a new Supergiant game. It's in the same thing. Like they are one of those like there's a few developers that like I've never been like I used to not be like huge on different developers and like following them, but there are some now that I really like. Supergiant is one. They're the guys who made Torchlight games.
Runic.
Runic. They have a new game they're working on called Hob, which looks also stunning. But there's been no release info on that really yet, so I'm still waiting on that one. But those are like 2 developers I absolutely love. And I will, and like those, it's like any game, like Supergiant, anytime they play a game out, I don't care what it is, I will buy it.
Yeah, that's fair. Coming out on PS4 and Windows for those that are interested. So sorry, Xbox One's fans.
Yeah, July 25th, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, besides for being stunning, I doubt it will be super, like even if you don't have a super powerful computer, I think you'll still be able to run it. Yeah, their games have always been very well optimized. I had no problem with Bastion or Transistor.
The build that they had up and running at PAX this past year ran fine. No hiccups, no like tearing or anything like that. It was really, really nice and
I
well
trust that it will
be
optimized. I trust that it will just be a complete game. I trust them.
Yeah, that's a safe group of people to put your trust in.
Yeah,
that'd be the best way to.
And I just real quick before we move on from it, I had a little interaction with the devs recently on Steam.
Nice.
In their community. So I already pre-ordered it and pre-ordered the soundtrack because, like I said, I'm a big soundtrack guy. A good soundtrack will always get me into a game. It honestly, because I'm a believer in like a good music will make or break a game, or can. And I was curious because if you know about lossless files and audio, lossy compression and all that, I was wondering if I asked a question on the forum. Like, hey, does anyone know if they're going to be releasing the soundtrack, if it's going to include lossless files like FLAC files or WAV files? And like the first response I get back, like this is only like an hour, it took like an hour, was from like one of the devs themselves. It's like, it just goes into the whole detail. Yes, we will have that. We're glad you're interested in it. And like I had a conversation with them in the thread about how much I love their music and like how I've actually added songs from Bastion into my set list when I play acoustic gigs.
Nice.
I actually go and play some of the songs from it. People are like, what's that song? I'm like, it's from a video game.
Yeah.
Because it's just so good. So I like had a full on conversation with one of the devs and it's just like, I love when developers do that. When they're that and he seemed like the way he's talking about it, like he loves the game.
That's awesome. That. Yeah.
Anyway, enough of me ranting about how much I'm excited for this.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to. It's a sign of a good developers when people are that passionate about their games.
Exactly. Absolutely.
You know that like they can they can build up that kind of justifiable hype. Like before Overwatch was even out, and people that don't even play, not to go back to Overwatch again. Sorry, I'm a Blizzard fanboy. You guys should know this by now.
I became one.
Yeah.
Chris could tell you, Joe, how long it took me to get into, how long it took them to drag me into Overwatch. Like I was maybe I'll get it. And then eventually this year, I'm like, because they're always fucking playing it.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, I'll cave in. I'll spend the $30. I'll buy it. Are you happy? And then I'm like playing it the first time, like, fuck, this game's really good.
I get this. Yeah.
And now I'm like, this game is. I love this game.
But yeah,
I can't stop playing.
it's what's what I'm looking for? Yeah, I can't count like how many times I've seen posts about like, oh, I don't even play Overwatch, but I'm in love with the character design and the world and this so much that it's
so well
inspired
done.
such a whole like creative community.
I want more lore. That's me. I love good lore, and like I love what Blizzard's doing with it. I just want more of it.
I don't know if you play those characters long enough though to tie that value to it. You know, like WoW, I feel like, you know, you can have lore because, you know, as a night elf, you start off in Teldrassil and you work your way off the world tree and you kind of explore all the things that correlate back. But in Overwatch, it's like, well, pick up, you know, Torbjorn and McCree, and I'm doing this or that. I'm running down.
I'm gonna play Big Monkey Man.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it's so much more instantaneous action than like, oh, I'm level 2 now. I can actually use a weapon and I don't have to punch or cast a spell. And like,
I
feel like
don't
there's
have to
a
hit
lot
him with a block of wood
to tell a story in those games versus the Overwatch, where it's like you have to go. I mean, there is some lore, right? You can go watch it or
yeah. I mean, the animation videos that Blizzard has put out have been awesome.
Yeah, between the shorts and the comics, the lore is kind of there for people that want it, but yeah.
It's just, but it's like I love like the banter between the characters and between like before matches start or in like the middle of it, like for example when like Reaper kills Soldier 70, he's like, this is the way it should have been. I'm like, oh, I love that. I love little things. I love little Easter eggs like that. Like that just like it's the little details that just like makes me all warm and fuzzy on the inside. That just shows like they love that. That's also another thing. It shows the passion they have for their game.
Yeah, Blizzard's always been really good about the small stuff like that.
Yeah, I should go back and play some more Blizzard. Like I never played Diablo. I never played WoW.
Yeah.
I should.
You can kiss a lot of your free time goodbye if you're gonna delve into Blizzard's back catalog.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get into WoW just because I think it's too far gone at the moment for me. I'm too far out of it that it would take and I have so much else on my plate that I don't need that sucking up my entire life. It's an MMO. It's gonna do that.
Yep.
But like Diablo, I would go back and
especially if it's new to you. Yeah, you can kiss your free time goodbye.
Like like new like MMO, like that kind of MMO can be extremely overwhelming. There's so much to it, and like it took me to learn. Like I've played one or two in the past, and like some of them I learned them pretty well, but it took time, and then I just fell out of them. But Diablo, I would go back because I love those ARPGs. Like I mean,
that was a good time. They just recently released the Necromancer.
That's right, they did. I will go back to Diablo at some point.
If you hop into WoW, you only have 13 years of content to catch up on, so no big deal.
Kill me. I'm sorry. I have a life I need to get back to.
There's a decade of my life that has been dedicated to WoW and Diablo,
and that you will never get back.
Way too much shit stuff like WoW items, and
we've both lost our share of time to World of Warcraft.
Absolutely.
I think that's mainly like the games news I want to talk about. There hasn't been too many things going on lately. A lot of the controversy lately has been about movies and TV. People getting their jimmies and all rustled up over women in TVs and movies. So thankfully, games have been like flying kind of quiet on the news front lately. Got Evo going on this weekend, which is exciting if you're into fighting games. I like watching them because the commentators are super hyped for fighting games, but
I love fighting game commentators.
Yeah,
they're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's great. I love that passion that's there because it's just like, yes, this is how it should be in other genres, but yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just one genre where I'm just like, yeah, no, this one's just not for me. That and like RTSs just can't do it.
Actually, there has been controversy. I don't know if you've been following that whole thing with Alex Maurer, that composer who's been issuing like DMCA's on like all like these YouTube videos.
It doesn't sound familiar.
So there was this game. There was this game called Star Mazer. It was coming out. like a retro style shoot 'em up game. And there was this composer, Alex Mauer. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now she's as of recently transgender. Did the composing, and she has like quite a list. Like she's done a lot of games in the past. She's done quite a amount of work, and but she went to this. She then started claiming. I don't know the whole story off the top of my head, but she basically started claiming that she didn't get paid in full because she started going through transition surgeries in the middle of it, and she did as much, and she basically didn't complete what the contract said. The contract said like she didn't do the full amount of work, and they paid her based on what she did, it's just fair.
Yeah, that's how contract works.
I mean, I know it's like I understand you're sick, or well, not sick, but not sick. Excuse me. Like I understand you're going through a thing,
yeah,
but you signed a contract.
Mm.
Like you don't like that's not an excuse. You get paid for the work you do, and she feels like she was not paid. Like she's like she was complaining. She was just started bashing the developer. She issued like a copyright claim. So she started like issuing copyright claims, and they had to take it down on Steam. But then what she started doing, so of course everyone's pissed at this point because the developers are like, "What the hell? You didn't do your part. You don't." And the developer holds the rights to that music. In the contract it says they hold the rights. She thinks she thought she still held. She believes she held the rights to it. And she started doing people who were doing Let's Plays on YouTube, she started issuing DMCAs on them, which the users have no like they shouldn't be in the line of fire for this. Like
yeah.
this is an
issue. It sounds vaguely familiar now that you're like talking about it a little bit. Something I don't really know too much about. Personally, I remember like hearing about it and going just like, oh, that's a shitty situation, and then
it started turning real crazy because I think she has some mental issues where she started issuing death threats to developers and shit. And I think the police got involved and like actually had to like arrest her because she was making some serious comments.
That's insane.
It was going crazy, and like she was basically what she was trying to do was DMCA the YouTubers and then tell them, and basically her thought process was, oh, that maybe then they'll get angry at the developers and be on my side. That's not how it works. They're just angry at you.
They're angry at the person issuing the DMCA and cutting off their revenue stream.
Exactly. And so that whole thing happened, and the devs are like, we're fine. They had to like issue a statement like, we're fine. She hasn't done anything to us. She was issuing some pretty serious threats, and if you look on her Twitter, it's kind of insane.
Yeah, I'll stay away from the ramblings of
an
apparent person, though.
But then, most recently, she started doing it to another game that she worked on, and this time she was only a subcontractor, which she doesn't hold any rights to that. Now she's doing the same thing, like trying to get money out of that. She's basically just trying to get money out of it, and it's disgusting. And she's doing the same thing with the DMCA's. And it's just like, come on.
Sounds like she's doing a good job of trashing her own career, though. So hopefully,
no one's ever gonna want to hire her ever again. She's ruined herself.
Yeah,
she did it already with the first time, and now the second time, that's the nail in the coffin.
Hopefully, it's not a story we'll have to hear again.
Yeah, I honestly like she's just going on a rampage. It's just like she's throwing a hissy fit, but she's issuing death threats and all that. So it's kind of like serious.
That actually works as a pretty good transition into our next topic. As some of you may know, tonight, July.
February. I'm like, wait a minute.
Don't know where that came from. February 16th. The new season of Game of Thrones is starting at 6 minutes as of this live broadcast.
Hey, a show I don't watch.
And with the season finale of last season, there was another slightly crazy woman issuing death threats and going on rampages. So that's fun. I know, Joe, you watch Game of Thrones, right?
It's not my ex?
I do, yeah.
Are you excited to get back into Game of Thrones?
Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of have like shows as like a set of things that it's not that like I completely look forward to, but I don't watch much TV. So like the rare occasion that I have something on television or I guess digital channel these days that I like is cool. So Silicon Valley just ended. So
getting to catch up on that.
Yeah. I mean, I like the lore, component of it, where it's more that like that Lord of the Rings carry on vibe kind of thing, but it's
Lord of the Rings, except everyone you like dies.
yeah, pretty much.
That's all I know about the show is you will like a character and they will die. That's all I know about Game of Thrones. I refuse to get into it.
It's
I don't
worth
have
your
that
time.
kind of time. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know. Like, I think actually no. I did watch. I think I saw like part of an episode. I was like, as much as I like fantasy stuff, I was like, It didn't really do it. It didn't really do it for me. Where like I need to watch this.
Don't like your medieval soap operas.
Yeah, that's what it felt. That's actually probably what it felt like. It just felt like a soap opera, and I think that's what like I was like, I don't really need this.
Funny. But yeah, I've heard that like some sort of satirical criticism leveled at Game of Thrones before, and I'm just like, oh, that's kind of funny, and I kind of get that, but I still like it, so I'm gonna keep watching it.
I mean, I'm sure it's a good show. It hasn't grabbed me personally.
That's fair. I could see it's. What season are we going into now? 7? Yeah, so you got 6 seasons of hour-long episodes to catch up on. It's fairly healthy
I
time
don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
I don't know,
think of all the anime I could watch in that time.
A lot, depending on the anime.
I couldn't stop watching it once I started. I was just like, wow, this is one of those things. Like, I always enjoy that kind of structure. That's one of the things I liked about WoW was it has all that storyline, and its setting is just so awesome and true to kind of like what I'm into. That's what got me into it.
Yeah, it has those really like well-developed characters from the books and the relationships, and all the families have these defined lineages and conflicts in the past that have led up to everything that's occurring in the show. And yeah, the fight scenes are all well done, and you get to see like these large-scale battles and that little bit of magic in the world, just enough to introduce that chaotic nature to it. Is interesting for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always thinking like trying to read the people or trying to guess the storyline, and I didn't read the book, so for me it was like, okay, this next episode, this is gonna happen, because I'm thinking about like what kind of relationship-based decisions or movements they'd have to make, and what it would shift. You know what I mean? Like, it is the Game of Thrones, and I think what's cool is you get to take part in playing that, where you're kind of going, well, if Tyrion does that, he's gonna really piss off, Cersei, and Cersei's gonna kick him out of the castle, and all that shit, blah blah blah. And that's kind of like what I get out of it is like going, oh, what's happening with the strategy? I guess it's like soap operas, but sure, I love that shit.
Would you say that this is kind of like an example of the idea of the too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing?
I don't think so. Like,
I feel like
there's a lot
so
of
many
characters. There are, but like you said, they do a good job of killing them off. So it does a good job of regulating how many you have to keep up with at any period of time. And all the really important ones are just like, okay, they're fairly easy to like remember, all the big deals. Some of the smaller people, I have to sit there and go, who was that again? I have to look them up from time to time. But yeah, it's if you've read any like other fantasy work, or if you've played something with an extended roster, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of placement too, right? Because it's like a world, like, so they use characters to take you around different parts of that world. Like, in one season, who was it they sent? They sent Sansa to like that one place we never saw, where they introduced all those characters from like the East, which is super hot, or what I'm talking about? Like, so
yeah.
They use those storylines to show you the world, so they kind of almost have to have these catalysts in place to do that with some of it, where like Bran, they don't even show for like 2 seasons. Well, it's like, where's he? Well, it took him that damn long to get to where they were trying to take him, and then in 2 episodes he's back. It's like, holy shit. Well, it just sometimes it unravels that way, but it is a lot. But it kind of breaks it up to the point where you're not getting overboard with the fact that they're still standing at a wall in the snow.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's not super overwhelming. I think that's a good way to put it. It's manageable. Each episode focuses on a certain number of people, and the next episode will typically focus on the people you didn't see last episode, and they go back and forth as necessary.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever get into it. No. They've passed the books at this point, right?
They will with this season.
They will with this season.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that'll be interesting.
I'm pretty up for it. I realized today, like, as I was preparing for the podcast, I'm just like, oh yeah, we're going to be airing in conflict with Game of Thrones tonight. Whoops.
Well, guys, hate to end this early, but
yeah, episode starting right now. They're probably just doing their nice long recap. Can probably still make it. Yeah.
It is 9 o'clock. It's exactly 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Other than that, I haven't been playing too much. Looking forward to the games that are coming out in the fall. I have seen a couple movies. Both Spider-Man and Baby Driver were fantastic. Highly recommend going see them.
I haven't seen movies in a while. I just haven't gone to a theater in a while. The last
Good
time I went
movies
to
going out.
The last time I went to a movie theater was to watch Star Wars, not Rogue One, Episode 7.
Jesus, man.
I
has
don't
been a
have.
while.
I never have time. So I'm always so busy with all the other work all the other shit I had to do, and I just like, I'll just wait for it to come out on Google Play and I'll rent it.
That's fair. Some movies.
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen yet.
Yes.
Go back and watch.
I think a movie like Baby Driver or the superhero movies.
I know I would like Baby Driver.
There's something about him. I'm just like, yeah, I need to go see this like on a big screen, just like super loud. Because for Baby Driver, it's the music. For something like Spider-Man, it's the fight scenes and just the epic scale of it all. It's just like, yeah, I need to go like see this one in the big screen in like a leather reclining chair. I can make time for this, I guess.
Yeah.
My brother's home for the summer and he's super into movies, so that like helps motivate me to go see a bunch of movies too.
Right.
But it just helps that good stuff's been coming out in general.
Yeah. For me, it's like due to the nature of my work, like it's a lot of like I'm already focused on trying to keep up with music. For Joe, you don't know this, but I intern right now at Atlantic Records.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and so it's like, and just because I'm studying to be a recording engineer, it's just constantly trying to keep up with new music. I'm just like, oh shit, they came out with a new album Friday. Gotta go listen to that. That's an hour of my life gone. And it's just like, because you need to be on top of it, because I can go into work tomorrow and be like, hey, did you listen to this yet? I'm like, fuck, I didn't listen to this, because then we're talking about it, and it's just, you need to be so on, like, it's such a much faster paced industry, I feel like, than film, and you just need to be really on top of it, especially if you're going to work in it. That's
fair, especially if you're specializing in a certain industry.
Yeah,
or a certain
so
genre.
I just don't have the time to go to the theater, but I'll wait for it to come out. And I enjoy, like, I have my TV set up in my room and I have speakers. And I'm like, I'm happy, like, I'm more happy, like, being comfortable by myself watching a good movie in my room with the lights off and stuff like that with my good headphones or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, I've seen one of my favorite movies of all time. I watched on my computer screen going like this. That was Master and Commander, which was I don't know if you guys have never seen that. It's a phenomenal movie. And I highly recommend either watching with good speakers or good headphones, because the sound is so well done in that movie.
That is a nice like side effect of being into like games. You probably have a good headset or like a decent quality audio headset with some sort of like surround sound at this point, if you care anything about directional audio in games.
I don't have surround sound yet. I will. But I'm like, I already have good speakers. I'll probably be eventually getting good monitors as well that are more for mixing audio and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm in. I wish I could do more like play games at Atlantic, because in the in-house, I work in the in-house studio. We have these. They're called Augsburgers speakers. It's a company, and I wish I could share a picture. They are about as tall as me, and I'm 6'2". They're about as tall as me with a subs built into them. They cost about $20,000.
Jesus.
Can you imagine listening to something through $20,000 speakers?
No.
Because I couldn't until this summer, and it was incredible. You hear, it's just I'm afraid I have never turned past the halfway point on the volume knob, because even at the halfway point, it's really fucking loud.
I was watching the other day to like go on about the speaker talk. Linus from Linus Tech Tips went to Dead Mouse's home studio up in Canada, and I guess his studio's one of like the few Dolby Atmos setup studios in North America, at least. And he was talking about how he'd listen to like music there, and how it was a life-changing musical experience, just because the speakers have to be set up with a certain configuration, and Dolby themselves have to come and configure them, and the room has to have certain specifications and all that kind of crazy stuff. And I'm just like, I can't even imagine what that must sound like.
There's so much acoustics involved with it, like the right pair of speakers. It's also the room you're in. The room makes a huge difference. Like if I had those speakers in my bedroom, it honestly, I mean, they'll sound good, but they won't sound as good because my bedroom acoustics suck. It's a square room.
Yeah.
And it's drywall. If you ever look at studios and you think about why their shape's so strange, is in recording, in audio, like just sound in general, for good acoustics, you actually don't want parallel surfaces. You don't want the walls to be parallel, because if you do get that, going into real tech stuff here, what happens is a sound wave will, if depending on the certain frequencies, depending on the length of the wave, will bounce back and forth between these two walls. And if it's the right length and it fits perfectly in it, you get a ring. You get what we call a standing wave, and you'll hear like a ring of a certain frequency. So and the microphones are sensitive. Professional microphones are sensitive enough that they'll pick that up. So that's why studios, like professional studios, are not round, or they have some like diffusion and all that.
Huh.
Or not round, like not square.
Okay, that's interesting.
So it's a little bit of acoustics for you guys.
Always interested in learning about stuff that I know next to nothing about. It's just interesting to me. Anyway.
That's a whole monster of a field, acoustics. There's so many calculations involved and so many minute details.
Yeah, we know a couple people that we went to high school with that went into acoustical engineering, and kudos to them, because that's something that I could not do.
Yeah, well, that's what I originally went to study. The school I go to is known for its program for that. It's one of the only programs for it in the country. So the people you may know, Chris, by the way, I probably know. Well, one of them is your brother's friend, Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah.
One of Chris's brother's friends is a good friend of mine. He's acoustics. He's in that major, and like it's all like that major. I've taken just a class in it because I switched him out of the major, but I still take a class in it. And oh my God, there's so much. The textbook I had was about this thick.
That's insane.
There's so many details, but it's fascinating how it works because it makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
And there's and when I've gone to switch it back into gaming a little bit, I've gone for audio engineering. We have this big conference called Audio Engineering. There's a big organization called AES, Audio Engineering Society. And there's a big conference every year. That's why I was in LA last year for it. This year it's in New York. And one of the things that has been popping up within the past 2 years I've gone to it, it's like significant how much like stuff there is about video game audio and 3D audio, like VR.
Oh, that's going to be huge.
It's created a whole new job market for people in my industry. It's incredibly complicated and video game audio is on its own is very complicated. We had the guys I met, two of the guys from Avalanche Studios, guys who did Just Cause and all those. They came in and gave a presentation the first year I went, and it was right before Just Cause 3 was about to come out. So I actually got to see some in-game footage of it before it was released.
Nice.
But it was like also like some bare bones stuff where I was like, you could see like the audio mapping of it. You don't realize how much work goes into creating audio for an open world game, because it's constant. It's one, directional and location based, and two, it's changing depending on how you interact with it.
If it's done right, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many variables involved in mapping and so many different sound effects. And like the way they did the audio for that game is, I mean, if you know Just Cause 3, explosions everywhere. Yeah. Big, very pretty explosions. And they put the same amount of work into doing the sound for them.
Yeah.
Because they sound incredible.
I remember one of the big promotional things that DICE was running back before Battlefield, which I think this was going back a while, so probably Battlefield 3. Right before that came out, they did a big video on like their audio production and how they captured the gun sounds for different environments, whether it be indoors and outdoors, because you can't capture outdoor gun audio inside and all that kind of stuff. And that's why their guns sound so good, is because they take the time and put in the effort to capture it as they should.
Whereas guys from Avalanche did the same thing.
Yeah.
They go to a gun range and they just go through so many different kinds of guns. Sometimes they combine them together.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you definitely notice when a studio puts the effort into making good quality sound assets. When you're like running on metal, it should sound like you're running on metal, and if it's in a big like corridor hallway, it should be kind of echoey. If you're outside, there shouldn't be a whole lot of an echo.
It's basically it's the idea of like automation as we do in like when we're mixing audio, but that automation is changing to every second.
Yeah.
Because depending on the environment you're in, everything has to change. There's different effects that are like being bypassed or being activated depending. And what's even harder is the transition into them. It needs to sound natural. It can't just like go from like a big room just suddenly to a small room. There needs to be like a fade in, like a crossfade. So that's all interesting stuff. So all right,
All they keep with the
nerd
immersion.
rant.
Oh no, that's all this podcast is. It's one big nerd rant. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Do they edit a lot of this like as MIDI files, or are these like waves that they're doing? Like, you know what I mean, to capture that pure sound, or how do they?
They're generally they're generally an audio file. They're not MIDI, because MIDI there's only 127 variables technically, or something like that. It's 120 something variables in MIDI. That's how MIDI is controlled. I could be wrong off a number by a little bit, but that's the idea. There's a set number of variables, and that's how it controls it. Because it's digital, so it's ones and zeros. So that's how that controls that. That's a whole complicated thing on its own. But a lot of these sound effects are if you go into the files of the game, you'll see like those big games have a huge there's a massive folder full of sound effects. And there's
libraries
it's a whole library, and all of them have, and the way that those are just the base sound effects. Those are being mixed in the game. The game engine is running that, and it is like that's besides the video rendering. They had to render the audio. So those sounds get mixed into the engine, and that's kind of the automation process gets worked with that.
That's awesome. I can listen to this kind of stuff like all day.
Yeah. You would enjoy that presentation that Avalanche gave. It's funny because this summer I got an email from them randomly at the beginning of summer. I think I told you about this, Chris. I was actually offered an internship at Avalanche Studios with their sound department.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately had to turn it down because I had already accepted the one at Atlantic. But
yeah, well, it's just like
I'm keeping that line open.
Yeah. I don't blame
That'd be
you.
a cool job.
Oh yeah. Worth checking out anyway.
Yeah. Get to make big, pretty explosion sounds.
Help with Just Cause 4.
That would be a dream. I love Just Cause. Those will always Just Cause games will always go down as some of my favorites.
I need to play more of them. I've only like messed around with 2.
Yeah. I want to redo 3 when I build the computer again, because just to be able to appreciate it more.
Crank up that view distance and those explosions.
It just barely ran on my computer. It just barely ran, but I was able to get through it more or less, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it. But I want to really enjoy it next time.
That's fair.
Because it's a very pretty game.
It does almost feel like a different game sometimes.
The plot sucks. The voice acting is horrendous, as it's always been.
Yeah.
But you don't care because the gameplay is fun.
At the end of the day, it's fun, and that's the important part.
You're a god. You feel like a god in that game. You are practically a god.
That's what every game should make you feel like. You control something more than yourself.
It's like they keep enabling you. Like you're the one taking down these dictatorships, but really you're a terrorist because you're fucking blowing Rico Rodriguez blows everything up and leaves nothing in its wake. Just like they already gave you a grappling hook and a parachute, which you can do a lot with. Now they give you a wingsuit. You can do anything. The man can survive wingsuiting at terminal velocity into a mountain and get up and be like, ow.
Oh, you can't do that.
Keep going. So he's basically, you don't die much in that game. He takes a fair amount of hits. But it's like, you can take like a tank shell to the face and be fine.
Oh yeah, because it wouldn't be fun if you took a tank shell to the face and died instantly.
Oh yeah, no, the shit you can do in those games is bonkers, but that's what makes them so enjoyable.
Yeah, it just seems like a done like fun kind of thing.
Yeah. So I will go back to that game when I have a proper computer and can appreciate the work that goes into making those very pretty, because those are some of the prettiest explosions you will ever see.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys wanted to bring up? Any other topics you guys wanted to discuss?
I think I got all mine out. What do you guys think?
I think I'm good as well. Like, we can talk a little bit about all the work you've been doing, Joe, if you want to talk about that. Some
Yeah.
of the design work that people might have seen right before we went live.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'm always working on stuff, so I'm always testing stuff, and I think that's the way I feel. It's like never really final, you know. So this could change next minute, but it's things where it's like we were talking about for a while doing some kind of new version of our brand in the sense that like we wanted to revisit it and like kind of reconnect with where we started and where we're trying to really accomplish and consider, you know, what we started with is considering that we're going to learn from what's going on. And so that's what we keep doing is we keep going back and going, okay, here's what we wanted to accomplish. Here's how close we got. And here's what we did well. And then what can we keep doing? So, you know, design is always a part of that. And I think like the more we can simplify how we're trying to share information, the better we can get it actually sharing the right information and getting stuff. So yeah,
looking real good so far. We posted the new social stuff, or you posted the new social stuff earlier today, and it looks really cool. I like the almost
I need to
90s
check
pattern
it out.
designs.
I need to check it out because honestly, like I'm still very new to left click culture because I've only
Fair.
been on the podcast once, and I know you guys took a break for a little bit, anyways. But
Yeah,
I need
our
to
little
actually like
mid-season break.
I need to look at more of your stuff because from what I've seen, it looks awesome. So I need to look at more of it.
That is all Joe. You can thank him for how awesome everything looks.
I need to look into more of your stuff, of his stuff.
Head of the art department.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No, I mean,
not head of the art department, the art department.
yeah. No, I mean it's
Is
funny.
the
It's
art department.
Pretty much.
Well, I saw like something, you know, earlier I was saying to Chris, we were coming up with ideas getting on, and you're eating dinner. I was just like, you know, somebody I saw tweeted somebody like, I'd love to redesign your logo or whatever. I was like, God, you know, what a dick. Like,
Come on, it's like I put the work into that. Don't. It's like if you were the CEO of the company and you didn't do the design, you'd be like, okay. But it's like you did the. It's like that's like that's like going up to Picasso and be like, I want to redo your painting.
yeah.
The one for
That's
Evo
just
is kind of
annoying.
shit though. It's old.
Yeah.
You're a modern organization. You need to update it a little bit. Well, not shit. Shit's a little too strong of a word. It's different.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's funny to me, and this is kind of where I was hoping this would start to be growing towards, is like that brand will say that, and we give away shit they do for free. That's what we're always going to do. We're always going to be that good for free, so just keep coming.
Yeah.
That'd be it. Yeah, I mean, like the more that we know about what people want to, the more we can make it. So, and I think we're going to be making more kind of like left click based stuff, you know, not as much of the like Diablo or the PUBG based artwork. We'll do more of our.
That should be the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that
Form your
PUBG
brand.
one out there and see the downloads just fly off the page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
form your brand to build a team.
We're working on it. Yeah. We also toying with a new intro, as you guys probably saw today. Still working on that, so feedback on that is appreciated. Playing around
It's
with After
loud.
Effects again. Yeah, it's loud.
It was real. I had that
Pretty
open.
awesome,
I'm like,
man.
oh my god, my ears.
Yeah, that's
Looks
even
cool,
with
though.
it dropped 6 decibels in OBS. It's still that loud. Yeah, so playing with that.
Cool.
Looks fun. It feels good to be back editing in After Effects because right around when we took a break from the podcast, I took a break from all that kind of stuff as well. It feels good to be back. Other than that, other than fresh designs headed your way, we recently had the Diablo 3 Necromancer stream kit go live. That's cool. Glad you got that up and going. And we'll have lots of video content coming for you guys soon. Lots of left-click plays. Probably lots of left-click plays PUBG. Probably some Counter-Strike stuff mixed in with there. Maybe even some Diablo stuff. We got lots of content headed your way as we get season 2 of Left Click into full swing, production-wise. Be good. Lots of stuff coming your way, and of course, the podcast, which we'll do probably next week. Keep it weekly for now, and then we'll try to adjust the pace of it as we need to from there.
Yeah. Because we'll be agile.
Might end up changing the time and date too, because competing with Game of Thrones isn't the best business decision in the world.
No, no one competes with Game of Thrones.
And lives to tell the tale.
We're not even a writer.
Neither do the characters.
Yeah. But anyway, if nobody else has anything to discuss, I think we'll go ahead and call it a podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Color me a podcast, Chris.
I will color you so many podcasts this season.
And on that note,
Thank you guys so much for joining me for season 2 Left Culture Podcast. Thanks again, Rez, for being our special guest and joining
thank
us
you.
for
Please,
season 2,
I'm more
episode
than
1.
happy to come back. This was fun.
Absolutely. And Joe, thanks for joining us again.
Of
Sharing
course.
your design stuff and now your stories about Counter-Strike and that knowing look when Rez was talking about WoW and how much of our lives we've lost to WoW.
Yes, so much time. I mean, not lost. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind
not
of what
lost. That is a bad way to phrase it.
doing now. So, but yeah,
So
it's
many
a lot
memories made within WoW.
Yes.
Memories.
Memories.
Anyway, that'll do it for us. We'll see you guys live. Gonna say, even though this is probably gonna change before next week, we're gonna say 8 o'clock Eastern next Sunday, July 23rd. But keep your eye on Twitter for the updated schedule. I guess would be the best way to put it, because it's mostly gonna change after we've had some time to think about it and talk about it. But until then, you guys have yourselves a wonderful week. And thank you from all of us here at Left Click for joining us for the season 2 premiere of the podcast and of Left Click in general. Going super meta with everything.
It's super meta.
All the meta.
Changing everything. Hope you guys are comfortable.
I hope you guys hate pineapple on pizza. Yeah.
No. I just had this fight with my brother.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the meta right now is the pineapple pizza conversation. It's like, I don't know what to talk about. You know what? Pineapple pizza.
Pineapple.
But you know what's worse than that? These people who put ketchup on macaroni and cheese. Those people need to burn in the 8th layer of hell.
Yeah.
A bit weird. I agree. But we'll leave you guys with those massive thought bombs as we sign off for the night. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.